With Bitcoin getting rejected now from the 42K level, everyone's wondering the exact same thing. What comes next and which direction are we going? Are we going back bullish? Is this just a little dip? Are we about to explode back to newer and higher highs, new all-time highs within this 2021 period? Or are we about to go back down to Goblin Town and experience new lows and potentially scary low Bitcoin prices? Which direction is the market going? And thankfully, we have one of the foremost technical analysis experts in the entire industry with you today. Go ahead, destroy the like button, because today we're giving you the easy mode, what we call the noob indicator, so that anyone can see with clear and easy ways whether this local bottom, the ultimate bottom of this market correction, bear market, whatever, has been put in. Hint: it hasn't yet. You're definitely gonna wanna see this. We also do a rapid fire mode where we go through all of the top altcoins and give you some technical analysis on them. You guys are gonna love this one. Make sure you smash that like button, leave a comment in the comment section below, as we're giving away a ledger on tomorrow's episode. Make sure you enter to win by commenting. As always, there are scammers in the comments pretending to be me. And if you guys want the absolute best information in the space, make sure you subscribe and put that bell notification on. With that said, let's dive in. Welcome back to the channel, Mr. Eric Crown. Thank you so much for joining us. It is a interesting day here in Bitcoin land. It feels as though we are right there about to break through and form some serious bullish momentum. But there's something in me that has been, it's just very cautious of the last few days and weeks, really since June. What's going on here from your lens here? Am I being too cautious, or are things going to potentially give us another opportunity here before things go absolutely crazy? Which direction are we headed?
Up or down?
Up or down, baby.
The age-old question. And it's a pleasure to be back here. I always want to say that. As far as that goes, as far as the age-old question of are we bullish or are we bearish, I do suspect that your sort of prudence is very much it's very much warranted. I mean, this market is still going to take some time. I believe last time I came on here about a month and a half, 2 months ago, we said something along the lines of, hey, if Bitcoin's going to switch around to being bullish, if Bitcoin's going to actually hold these lows, what we'd expect to see is more or less a sideways summer for, basically until September, maybe even October, where Bitcoin trades between about 30 and 45,000 bucks. And we're kind of seeing that right now. Now, with the way that Ethereum's kind of looking, it does look like it wants to lead the rest of the market to the upside here, alongside Bitcoin, of course. And I suspect that very likely does come to fruition. I think actually last time I was on here as well, I said Bitcoin probably heads up to about 45,000 bucks. We're starting to see that right now. So I suspect that this is taking a little bit longer over time. However, this is, more or less good, but I do suspect that patience is going to be rewarded here if this does end up turning out bullish, which there are actually several things to be speaking about. So I suppose that would be a good time to go into the charts.
Yeah, we'd love to see it. Obviously, the audience would love to see what data you're using to get these insights. Bring us into the lab here of
alrighty, let's
oh wow, there's so many green candles.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is Ethereum. So we can actually just very briefly go over Ethereum, because Ethereum is actually the easier chart right now if you're just going off of straight technicals and also fundamentals too. Obviously, they do have their, the London hard fork coming in a couple days here. So with that in mind, what do you typically see going into these sorts of events? Typically see a run up into it. And then actually, if we kind of use, Bitcoin's sort of halving dates, which are somewhat similar to this upgrade, as it will make it deflationary in some cases, or I guess in its totality. We can actually look at Bitcoin's halving dates and kind of see what it typically does do around those times. And I suspect that Ethereum will do something more or less the same.
So you're treating this like a halving?
Kind of, yes. I mean, it is reducing the supply, and that, we could maybe make a bit of an allegory between the two here. As far as this goes, I've aligned all of the white horizontal lines with halving dates on Bitcoin. And we do see something that, more or less is more or less consistent over the 12-year history of what we're looking at right here. What typically happens coming into these dates is that we have a dumbola, a big dumbola beforehand. See this over here. See this actually a little bit lesser right there, and this one over here consolidating as well. Leading into the event happens, and then we typically trade sideways, put in a nice constructive territory right here. Higher lows, always good. Same thing over here, and same thing over here. This one did dump out a little bit more, but still did hold the weekly higher lows. So if we are looking at Ethereum right now, which again I do think is a lot more of an easy chart here, we have several good things going on from a technical standpoint, not just fundamentals as well. First and foremost, we do see on the weekly hidden bullish divergence. Don't let the name scare you on this one. All it's telling you is that we very likely do have a confirmed higher low right here in the grand scheme of things, and momentum is turning on once again to the upside on a rather powerful time frame, that being a weekly. We're not talking about an hourly here or a 4 hour, talking about time frames that really hold a lot of weight.
And hidden bullish divergence means that things are bullish, correct?
That's what the name indeed implies. Basically, you have higher lows alongside momentum oscillators going lower lows. Basically, bears tried to get low. Bears tried harder, but got less to the downside in this case. This will have a first technical target. Actually, we're pretty damn close to there right now, right around our May highs, late May highs, that is, anywhere around about 28 to 2900 right here. If things do get a little bit more crazy, which I suspect that they, will have a chance to do so, then we probably do see, at the very least a test at 3,000. But ultimately, the next target would be 35 to 3,600 right here. And, still, I do suspect that this will take some time going sideways, just like we did see in the past halving days, kind of similar there. But ultimately, the resolution would be to the upside. So going back into your initial question, is it wise to be waiting right now? Yes, I do think that it is. Whether you're bullish or bearish, or, well, maybe not, maybe less so if you're bearish. I mean, you kind of want things to turn around right here, right now. But if you're bullish, we've seen a lot of the things that we really want to see for this thus far. And in holding these lows right here is a really, 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 really good signal. Also, my other momentum oscillator is looking pretty damn good. We even do see over here on our weekly chart for Stokes, we're actually having our first cross up literally since May. Again, another indicator. Don't let it scare you. Just basically telling you about momentum on a rather powerful time frame, that being the weekly. And if we're looking at this from a super guppy view, I do have special settings on this. They're not too different than the regular ones, but generally speaking, green good, red bad. And we are not just holding within the green, we are actually trending above the green, which is exactly what you want to be seeing here. So I do think that Ethereum is going to lead this market for a little bit of time with that event in mind. Again, target somewhere around about 2,900, very likely, and then 35, 3,600 if things get a little more crazy. So what does that mean for Bitcoin, right? Well, Bitcoin is a little bit less so, or a little bit less so obvious, I would say. And if we bring you over here to the CME chart, there's a couple things that really stick out. And the first thing is we have a massive gap right around about 4,500 to 4,800 right here. These typically do get filled, not always. They don't have to. I mean, I've traded in traditional markets and I've seen several gaps that have, gone decades without getting filled. And I think it's safe to say that they probably won't. But more importantly with that, if we do approach this region, that typically is going to be a technical sell for a lot of traders. And it also just so happens to line up with the 618 Fibonacci retracement. Again, don't let this one scare you as well. This is simply just a bearish retracement, a typical sort of target, in this case on the bear side, that you typically will, put on positions or take profits on these longs right now, of which.
So to break it down, 45 is going to be a hard a hard bit of resistance to get over, and it's most likely going to trigger at the very least a temporary sell-off.
Right, exactly. So while I am saying that Bitcoin price action very likely does push through here on the back of Ethereum right now, I highly believe that on the first pass, this will reject price action around this region. There's a couple other reasons why. I don't want to get too into the weeds here, but we can just go over one of them very, very briefly right now. And then we can kind of talk about what this might look like over time if this does switch around to really, proving itself. But the big one that I'm focusing on right here is actually the bi-weekly MACD. MACD, a pretty well-known indicator, basically cross the upside good, cross the downside bad. Terrible way to be using it, by the way. And I'm just being facetious right now in case you actually aren't sitting in this indicator. But for our purposes right now, you can kind of understand it as such. Anyways, we've seen 3 times in the 12-year history of Bitcoin where we have seen a downwards cross on this. And 2 of them actually came in the last 3 years here. One of them being this cross right here, coming in about October 2019. We see something really, really similar here, which is going to kind of set us up into this conversation. But basically, we get the bi-weekly MACD cross on the downside. Bitcoin comes down to the white 20-cent moving average, bounces off that above the 9, rejects, and down to the 55 and actually low over time, which is not good. Anyways, moving on to our next iteration over here. We do have, of course, the infamous 2018 high at about 20,000 bucks, right? Get the bi-weekly MACD cross on the downside right here. And Bitcoin comes down based off the white 20 simple, bounces up, bull trap, and down we go to the 55 and low over time again. Then we have this past one right on over here from about 2014 March. Very similar thing, crossing the downside, bounce off the 20 simple, above the 9, bull trap, down to 55, and down lower over time. Anyways, the reason why I'm going over this right now, amongst many other things, is because we have a very similar setup over here as well. Biweekly MACD crossed the downside actually in late May officially. We are bouncing right off that white 20 simple moving average, and that first bounce typically, does find a little bit of resistance around that mid 40, maybe even deep $40,000 territory. So regardless of whether you're bullish or bearish, and while I do think that Bitcoin will continue on from here, I would be looking at that area as very likely fraught with peril, and at the very least to provide a pullback. Now, keep in mind, this CME chart over here doesn't just have a gap to the upside at about 45 to 48,000 bucks. We also have a gap to the downside as well at about 33 to 34,000 bucks. Again, just because we have a gap does not mean we need to fill it exactly or precisely or at any given amount of time. That is not a rule. If anyone's talking about that, I can assure you I've never seen that in my career. Like, I think that that's more or less hogwash, if you will. Anyways, if this is going to go through, a very likely scenario, if we are going to see this turn out to be bullish, is something like this. We'll see a rally up to that level, anywhere around there, around the 6.8 is fair game, 40, whether it be 46, 48, whatever. Then I'd be looking for maybe a little bit of some toppy behavior, trade sideways for, maybe even a week, and then very likely comes down. And at that point, we're going to find and play the very fun game of, is this a high or low and a bull market, or is it not? I imagine it probably comes somewhere down around here. Also along, by the way, the 236 and somewhere around that gap fill would be fair game. That's about your mid $30,000 territory. Here's the next major thing that I'd want to see. And this is probably the biggest thing that's holding me back from being gung-ho bullish, crown runs with bulls, being crazy and just screaming green wherever I go. And that would be this. And actually, I believe we alluded to this last time, but I have another sort of thing to bring on top of it as well. This is that same chart we just looked at earlier, but you'll also notice that there are these blue horizontal lines. These correlate with the hash ribbons indicator, which I've actually represented in more of a histogram format right here. Just easier on the
is this the noob indicator, sir?
This is the noob indicator.
So if I only want to look at a color to know whether to drive or stop. So that's the thing that I really love about technical analysis is there is almost a different way to look at it depending on which indicators you bring up, time frames. There's always another way to look at the charts.
Oh yeah.
But when can we get the stoplight approach here? I just want to know red, green. Don't even give me yellow. Don't even give me yellow. Why do I need yellow? Just give me red or green here. Tell me.
Here we go. Here's the Da Vinci Code, my friend. Blue, good. Not blue, not good. How about that? Yeah. So basically, this indicator, just to briefly explain it, it plots two moving averages on the hash rate, and it comes up with an interpretation of it that essentially gives you capitulation signals for the miner specifically, and also buy signals. Same sort of idea. Anyways, you don't need to know that. Or it's probably smart to know that, but for our purposes, basically, we've seen about 11 of these signals in the past 12-year history of Bitcoin, and all of them have had the exact same signature with regards to what I'm about to speak about now. Bitcoin has never, ever, not even once, not once ever, made a new all-time high after first getting the capitulation signal, which by the way we got over here, without then being resolved by the blue buy signal. And when I say the blue buy signal, I don't just mean that the histogram turns blue. I mean, you actually get that blue buy signal where it says literally right in front of your face, hey, buy. And that's going to be a terrible timer of a buy anyways, just so you know, but it does give you the sort of confidence that Bitcoin is very likely put in a macro low, because the other side of that equation is that 10 of those 11 signals in the past 12-year history of Bitcoin have always confirmed that that after the blue buy signal was given, the prior low on the daily was the macro low before never getting tested again. The only time where this was not true was actually in 2020 for coronavirus dumb times. So you could say that that was a black swan. I know that some people, mostly in a symptom lab, would argue that that wasn't a black swan. Regardless of your opinions of that, black swans are a non-zero probability. So nothing's 100% guaranteed. That's why everyone hates TA, and that's why everyone hates just analysis in general. But that is the name of the game. There is always, a multitude of events that can happen, and it's more about your preparations with those potential events that makes you a successful or not successful trader. Anyways,
so if we're going to go on easy mode here, the easy mode way to look at this is just to say, now that we've got our capitulation signal, we need to get a blue buy signal. And that's not going to necessarily say that the best time to buy is now, but that is going to say that the macro low has been put in and that we're probably over the coming periods, months, weeks, are going to make our way up, correct?
Correct. Yes. So looking at this right here, why I would really strongly say that you're on the right side of things, especially, when people on YouTube can get a bit carried away with our clickbait titles from now and then. And hey, I do the same thing too. It's kind of fun. But more importantly with this, you can see that this is very far away. In fact, this is the most diverged, the furthest red that we've ever seen ever on this indicator, again, in the 12-year history of it.
And what does that mean? What does that mean for it to be the furthest red?
It means that it's going to take a long time to get to cross blue is what it means. That's what it really means, man. So, even though we have seen some of the greatest contractions since late July, actually, in the last couple of weeks here, which is significant, no doubt about that, it still would very likely take another, I would suspect like a month, maybe a month and a half. So probably around early, maybe late September, where this actually would print that. That's going to give the bullish bias. And I imagine that, Bitcoin spends its time basically between, $45,000 and $30,000. And as long as Bitcoin basically just doesn't take out not last month's, but June lows, even just ticking below there, I'd have a more or less bullish bias. So whether you're bullish or bearish, or especially if you are bullish, you're still probably waiting if you are more long-term, investor type of minded person. If you're a short-term trader like me, you don't care about any of this. So fair enough, to each their own, obviously. But I suspect that on a channel like this, I'm very likely speaking to an audience of people who are more long-term thinking. And in this case right here, we can definitely see that there's a good case for a low, but it's certainly not confirmed just yet. A couple other things that I think deserve a bit of merit here would actually be on the
before you move on, I just wanted to establish for those people who are patiently waiting to buy the dip, right? And I've been very adamant that for the last sort of 6 weeks or so that I haven't seen what I need to start buying dips yet. Though I did say I was going to start allocating to Ethereum and NFTs as kind of like different topics. Like, look, I'm just bullish on the fundamentals of Ethereum. So even if this is a bear market, I'm just going to start DCAing into Ethereum because who knows? I just want more ETH. Then I also was saying this gaming thing, NFT thing is popping. So I'm just going to speculate on those in a bubble. But as far as like macro bullish trends, as we know, the macro trends govern everything in crypto. When am I going to go crazy on Bitcoin? When am I going to go crazy on altcoins? And I haven't seen that signal that, look, it's really time to get hungry yet, because I've been through these crab markets where you get a little FOMO'd in on the pump, you buy, it dumps down, you get scared, it gets on the ledge, and all of a sudden you're wondering whether you're going to whatever, and it sort of crabs you back and forth, and it really messes you up. And so that was my fear. And so what you're saying is the easiest thing to do here is wait for that blue buy signal to come in. And then you know that, hey, you can start kind of DCAing with a little more comfort.
Exactly, yes. And there's one other just very simple thing very, very quickly here that I forgot to mention earlier, but that would be the good old 21 exponential moving average on the weekly, Mimi, which everyone loves. And to be fair, it's had a pretty damn good history here. As you can see, I plotted a yellow moving average right here. That's just the 21 exponential on the weekly specifically. And what do you know? We do have a very lovely relationship between price action and that. Anytime that price action is above it, with also the slope of the 21 being positive, good. Whenever the opposite is true, bad. It keeps you long the whole way through here, tells you to not be long over here or maybe even short. And same thing over here to the upside, keeps you even long through the 2013 double bubble, if you will, and then tells you about the bull trap in 2014 more, and then more recently, of course, in 2018, 2019 over here as well. Anyways, pretty damn self-explanatory. And what do you know? Bitcoin actually officially regained it for the first time in the last 2.5 months here on Sunday, actually at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So
pretty thin though, right? Is that a real regaining there? It looks like it's struggling to keep its head over water there.
Yeah. So what I was about to get into as well is if you truly want to trade moving averages in the way that they're supposed to be traded in this very, very simplistic way right here. Again, I hate making memes out of moving average because they actually are a big part of my own strategy, which many people do not use them properly, which is fair enough, to each their own. But you traditionally want to see both an open and closure above it. Right now, we've got a first closure above it. That is sort of like that's like a yellow light. Hey, pay attention. But it's not till we open and close above it where it's like, okay, it's game on, and so you can probably target moves back up to $50,000, and that would also be another sort of I think easy mode way, if you will. If we saw any sort of a higher time frame closure, let's call it above, especially $50,000 on a weekly, maybe even a daily, if you want to be a little bit more cavalier with your finances, then yeah, it's very likely, okay, we're probably going to grind our way still sideways a bit, but ultimately the upside resolution is the main sort of disposition that I'd be having on this.
So this also, week we could do that if we close above what level?
If we close above, it's currently coming in about 39.5. So we're basically tethered there right now. I think the downside on this week is actually very limited regardless of whether you're bullish or bearish anyways. I mean, maybe at most like 38.5. It looks like we already tried, and it's just a higher low for right now. So all good. I mean, basically, if you want the more short-term and medium-term analysis on Bitcoin, it's actually quite simple here too. I'm mostly biased to the upside, sideways and up, that is, not necessarily just a full-on rocket ship, rocket emojis right there. But as long as we're above about $38,000, I don't really see any reason to be even, medium-term bearish. Call it what you will in the short-term timeframes, but should also be known that on the weekly over here for weekly Stokes, we actually saw them cross the upside for the first time in a while as well on Bitcoin spot here too. So that is, more or less good stuff. It's really been since like early April actually that we even saw this, and that was coming in all the way up here. Realistically, the last time that we even saw it cross from this region was actually back in, December 2019, in fact, on that major low, actually way over here before about a 50% pump. So that is looking good.
Could we do a rapid fire on a couple of altcoins here now that we've gotten the wisdom here on the King Corn, which we thank you for tremendously, and especially the easy mode stuff. I know that the audience loves to have a simplified version of this. Obviously, if you guys want,
me too, my friend.
If you guys want the hour-and-a-half long version of this, go to Crown's page, Crown's Crypto Cave. I know the answer. Yeah. Crown's Crypto Cave. I'll link it in the description, guys. He does amazing content, both short and long form, each and every day. You definitely want to check it out.
Just a heads up though, before, I don't mean to cut you off too much there, but I actually keep every Sunday upload like what I call a long-term analysis. These are long as hell videos, like 30, 40, 50 minutes or so, that goes pretty much into everything that I can find on basically Bitcoin. So if you're truly like a chart nerd, or if you just got a boring Sunday, that would be something you might be interested in.
Awesome. Can we check out Polkadot? I want to know what's going on with Polkadot.
Symbol DOT.
DOT.
Okay, on Binance, definitely one of the stronger altcoins, it actually looks like, having one of the better bounces. We do have higher highs already, so that is good. Short-term resistance right around about $21. I'd imagine, again, you're going to see the market move together, right? So if Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin pushes up to $45,000, let's say. Again, we're making an assumption here. It's not fully proven, but if we see something like that, you'll probably see DOT back around about $27. That's its big area right here. Above 27 on a daily, that's going to start to look really, 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 really good long-term. But for right now, still pretty young altcoin chart. I really don't like how they dump off this hard. This is certainly not for me, but for other people out there, I do understand that, maybe you believe in the underlying technology. This one's not the worst altcoin chart I've seen certainly today. And it's going to take strength from the rest of the market, but I'd probably be looking at $27, assuming that Bitcoin and Ethereum follow through. Short term, however, $21 even is kind of where I'd be looking towards. No reason to be bearish on this thing as long as you're above about 15.5.
What about Cardano?
Oh, Cardano.
Cardano.
Sounds so exotic when you say it like that, Elliot.
It's so exotic.
Another altcoin that's actually held, it's really sloppy here, actually. It's kind of bizarre because it actually was one of the better altcoins in the past run. We do see a couple things of interest right here. Weekly hidden bullish divergence coming off the lows, generally good thing. I'd probably be having a target. I really, 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 really want to see it take out last week's high. If that can happen, I would have a target short term to about 155, 160, more medium term, somewhere around about 175, maybe in $1.80. And this one's going to start to look really good if it gets around there. Jewel, which is my preferred indicator for momentum oscillator, is actually already loosened up on the down signal, and this is a higher low, so that is actually pretty damn good right here on your higher term timeframes. But $1 staunch support, meaning also if you lose it, big bad problems all the way down, and unfortunately all the way down to about 42 cents. But you'd see Bitcoin break below about $30,000 if that would happen. So again, easier to watch Bitcoin, generally speaking.
Thank you for that, sir. How about the stinkiest of the links?
I got it right here, man. Oh, this one's so sad, man, because it's so good throughout, the last 3-4 years when everything else was not. And this one really got hammered onto the downside, but it does look like it's digging itself out right now. I'd say it's par for the course as far as altcoins go, neither strong nor weak, relatively speaking. Next sort of short term, or I guess next sort of medium term area, I'd be looking at about 28 bucks or so. That's assuming that Ethereum gets to, let's say, 2800 to 2900. And then above there, I'd be looking at a return towards former glories at about 33 to 34 bucks. But let's see what the weekly looks like here. Weekly actually looks pretty damn good. Oh yeah, I actually really like this. In fact, hidden bullish divergence come out of a rejection of the bearish control zone back above the exponential. Weekly jewel is fine. Volatility declining on a nice orderly consolidation. Sloppy as far as this looks like to me, but it is somewhat orderly if you just get rid of the if you get rid of the numbers on the right hand side. But yeah, okay, right here. Monthly, very good response, actually. Very good response. So yeah, naturally, maybe over the next month or two, again, assuming that Bitcoin and Ethereum keep it up, which I think that they will, 31 to 32 bucks probably where I'd be looking towards, a little bit more long term.
Yeah, something like Link that's just got such a strong community and such clear use case and utility. It's sort of like, hey, if this thing gets too quiet and people pipe down too much about Link, it's a good time to pay attention, because usually that's how the market kind of rotates.
Well, I mean, just kind of speaking in generalities here, just as something that you can probably apply to just about any market, is this: when you see something like this that mostly goes up on a higher term time frame, especially when the rest of the market was kind of contra to that. I mean, this thing was going up in 2018, 2019 when Bitcoin and everything else were having their troubles. This really does speak volumes long term. So this, to me, I don't know anything about the underlying technology, but I can tell you that is probably a decent project.
Well, awesome, man. That's all from me. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge. Guys, give Eric a big, obliterated, destroyed, absolutely apocalyptic like button smash. Please smash the like button for Mr. Crown. We really appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the channel. Guys, if you want to follow Crown on his daily updates, I do every day. I highly encourage it. Check out his link in the bio. We hope to have you back very soon, my friend.
Absolutely, man. Anytime, my friend. It's always a pleasure. I should also let everyone know we actually have this free app that anyone can use. We have the most quant data available to anyone out there in the internet lands. It's called app.crowntrading.net. You can just type that in your browser, get all of the cool stuff and more. And again, it's for the price of free. So thank you very much for having me on, man. It's always good here, my friend. It's always good.
Thank you so much, Crown. Check out app.crowntrading.com. Link for that is also in the description, guys, and have a blessed day. Take care. So there you have it, the noob indicator. The very simple green light, or blue light in this case, has not flashed a buy signal yet, meaning that the ultimate low does not seem to have been put in here on this macro market move. And it could be another month and a half until we get a final resolution again. Again, the name of the game here is not to get crabbed out, not to buy at the highs every time we pump and get FOMO'd and then sell at the lows and get absolutely fudded. You don't want to buy high and sell low, and that's why capital preservation and a wait and see attitude during these crabby corrective periods is typically the best thing to do. So that's what I've been doing. Again, that's just my strategy. I encourage you guys to figure out your own strategies. Never just take one video or one source of information to be gospel. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you got some value out of it, make sure you smash that like button. Remember to go follow Crown. Go check out his app. It's super cool and useful and free. As always, if you want more content like this, make sure you subscribe and put that bell notification on. That way you're made aware exactly when we put out new videos. We do daily content here on the Elio Trades channel. You can find me on Twitter. The link is in the description. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode.